Hello and welcome to the Pearlie Hour Review. I'm PJ, and I finally got the chance to tune into the latest episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 4. I'm gonna go through scene by scene of what happened in this episode, and I have to say it's not much to write home about. It has its moments. Mostly about this episode is that it gives a nod to a lot of episode 4 and a moment with episode 1. So, alright, let's get into it. The show opens up with Obi-Wan through we can see through like his perspective. He's very woozy, he's very faint, so his vision is going in and out. Everything looks blurry. What we see is him being transported to Jabim, the area that Tala told him about, and she tells him to try to relax, be calm, because Obi-Wan is hurt from his injuries, his fight with Darth Vader from the previous episode. And, he got burnt on his side. And, Tala tells him we have to, relax. And she mentions to, her group, the people that she works with, that, we need to get Obi-Wan to a bacta tank. So they do. They carry him on a stretcher, and he's just devastated that he lost. He can't, it's just he's trying to take in, he still has PTSD from all that happened in the past and of course what happened in the previous episode. So they throw Obi-Wan in the bacta tank, the tank that Luke was in Empire Strikes Back, the water tank, and the tank that Boba Fett loved so much in his own show. So while Obi-Wan's in there, something interesting happens, and I actually like this. Obi-Wan has this telekinesis, force connection with Anakin, because while Obi-Wan is in the tank, his own bacta tank, elsewhere, Vader is in his, bacta tank, and they can feel each other's pain. Obi-Wan is feeling the pain of his side being burnt, and he starts having flashes of Vader, and Vader has he's got nubs. He doesn't have hands and legs anymore, right? So he can feel the pain of what Vader feels and vice versa. So Obi-Wan realizes that he's got a connection with Vader, and it starts to freak him out, so he just starts to hop out of the bacta tank, and Tala's telling him, hey, no, you need to get back in the tank, you need to relax, you haven't fully healed, and he's like, nah, I ain't going back in there. Obi-Wan, he asks Tala, hey, where's Leia? And then of course she brain tells him, he realizes that the Inquisitors and Vader have her. So Tala and Obi-Wan meet up with Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson, who plays a character by the name of Roken. So Roken, I'm getting the impression he's like the leader of the Pathway group, the underground group that helps Jedi or people that want to smuggle out places that are taken over by the Empire. They want to get out. And apparently Roken is head of all that, of the networking, the computer tracking system that they have, underground tracking system, the Pathway system, and he's able to keep an eye on where the Empire is so they can smuggle people out and avoid them, or find their certain bases that the Empire has. So Obi-Wan is pleading with Roken, please help me, I gotta find this girl, she's very important to me, blah, blah, blah. And Roken is hesitant to do so because he reveals to Obi-Wan that his wife was a Force-sensitive person. and he says that the Inquisitors killed her, and he's nervous about Obi-Wan being in their camp, because he's like, listen, you're going to lead them straight to us. Roken hesitantly agrees. So he says, well, this is the fortress where the Inquisitors are. It's a fortress within the realm of Mustafar, but it's in an area above water. So that's the fortress of Inquisitors. That's where you need to go. And Obi-Wan's like, well, can we fly over there? And he says that he noticed that the Pathway group have like speeders, like speeder planes. He's like, well, we can fly over there. And Roke is like, listen, you want to get shot down? They have security over there. It's probably a force field. No, that's just suicide. And so they're like, well, it's above water, so there must be a way to go underground. Well, not underground, well, underwater to get up in the Inquisitor Fortress. Cut to Reva and Leia. So Reva is in a room interrogating Princess Leia. So they have a back and forth. At some point, Reva tries to get into Leia's head, and she realizes that Leia is strong with the Force. She's very Force sensitive. She's very strong-willed in her head. She cannot, Reva realizes she can't see Leia's thoughts. And, I mean, it's not the greatest scenes with Leia and Reva. It's almost like a Saturday morning cartoon villain just, scheming and twirling their mustache trying to get, the good guy to crack. It's just, it's not very interesting. I think Reva was better in the previous episode. Not really here. She's gone back down for me. Some people may have liked some of these scenes. So that's what's going on with Leia. So back to Obi-Wan and Tala. Tala gets her former Imperial officer gear back on so she can fly her ship, her Imperial ship, to the fortress and go through pretty much the front door of the fortress and try to get to the main computer so she can guide Obi-Wan, who's gonna come underwater to get up through the fortress to go sneaky get Leia, right? So she heads up through the plane, through the front door. She has some close calls. These are the more, well, I would say all the stuff, once we get to Tala and Obi-Wan trying to infiltrate the fortress, that's where it gets more interesting. Their scenes are more interesting. Alright. And there's some close calls with Tala, but she gets in the main control room. So Obi-Wan's underwater. He's like waiting for her to give him the okay, like, hey, I opened up a hatchet, like underwater hatchet, so you can come up through and get into the fortress. So he does, and Obi-Wan grabs a stormtrooper and drowns him. Like he gets him in a chokehold when he comes up from the water and drowns a stormtrooper. So Obi-Wan walks away. You see the stormtrooper floating in the open hatchet where all the water is in the fortress. So Obi-Wan's tiptoeing through the fortress, and there are like security probe scanning bots. I think they call them scanning bots everywhere, like monitoring the halls, and Tala can see it on the computer. And so she's trying to look at the map, the layout of the ship, the fortress, to guide Obi-Wan to get to Leia. Obi-Wan heads down there. And there's some other close calls with like I said, the bot, the scanning bot, and two dumb stormtroopers. But this is, okay, here's the first nod. Well, let's rewind it back. I do like when Obi-Wan comes up through the water, and he has that breathing device that he used in episode 1. Remember when Qui-Gon and him were swimming to the Gungans underwater city in episode 1? He has that same breathing device, and he uses it. I always feel like if you're gonna do fan service, make it make sense, and just use it make it useful. Just don't, hey, remember this? And then throw it away. I'm like, why did we see that? Is the character going to use that? And Obi-Wan actually uses it. He uses the breathing device to go up underwater and get inside the fortress. I didn't mind that little cameo from the breathing device that was from episode 1. So anyways, back to when he was once he got into the hallways and sneaking around with the two dumb stormtroopers, he does that thing that he did in episode 4, A New Hope, where he sees, the stormtroopers over there and he uses the force to like make a noise and then they go like, what was that? He did that here. I'm like, that's a nod to this episode is nodding to both episodes 1 and 4. I really like that because of course they're doing the sneaking around thing, which they always cut back to Reva and Leia. Reva is getting frustrated with Leia, so Leia will not crack. At some point, Reva lies to Leia and says that, Obi-Wan's dead, and it still doesn't work. So Reva takes Leia to some area where there's like a table, a chair / table where it's like an operating table or whatever, or a chair or whatever. And they strap Leia in it, and then it sort of reclines backwards. And at first you're like, well, what the heck is that? What is Reva gonna do to her? Then we cut back to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, it's getting dicey. He makes his way down to the lower level and he mentions, like, he sees all these people frozen. It's not carbonite, because it's not like that hard black carbonite like Han Solo was trapped in. It looks like, it looks like the golden sap from Jurassic Park that the mosquito was trapped in. It's like big golden sap where all these people that the Inquisitors and Force-sensitive people that the Inquisitors and Darth Vader captured, and he freezes them in this, like, golden sap. So you see a youngling trap, you see just random people trapped in these like golden sap-looking things, and Obi-Wan just says, oh my god, it's like tombs down here. So I'm like, oh, okay, so before Leia has the same fate as those people, Tala comes in the room and tries to distract Reva, saying, you've been called away, something, she says, to distract Reva. It can't wait now. So Reva leaves and Leia's in the room with 2 stormtroopers alone. And Leia's like, what is going on? So Leia's still strapped down and it's just 2 stormtroopers right next to her, right? And all of a sudden the lights go out. And this is a scene, it's not over the top, but I like the simple moments where I can get a chuckle, but it's sort of not action packed, but it's just clever scenes like this. The lights cut out with Leia and the stormtroopers in the room. And the stormtrooper's like, what the heck is going on? And then all you see is, phew, you see the blue lightsaber of Obi-Wan is whoosh. Then you see that stormtrooper go down, and the other stormtrooper is like, yeah, you're surrounded or something, he says. He's getting nervous, he's trying to threaten Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan takes him down. Like, so you notice Obi-Wan's a little bit more quicker now with his lightsaber skills. He's getting back into it, because remember, he disconnected himself from the Force. He hadn't really trained in 10 years. He still has the Force, but it if you don't train, if you don't keep it up, it becomes weak. So he's really getting in tune back into, as far as the lightsaber fighting, using the lightsaber quick and swiftly. He's more comfortable with it because he hadn't picked it up in 10 years, and it's just like the last time he used it, he chopped off his best friend's legs. Yeah, he's a little weirded out by it. So he rescues Leia, and, she's like, oh, I thought they told me you were dead, and they're hugging and stuff. He's like, no, come on, let's take you back to Alderaan. So they run off back to Reva and Tala. So Reva realizes that, Tala's a mole. Long story short, because this is another thing, the scene between them is not that interesting. The alarm goes off because as they're trying, Elsewhere, Leia and Obi-Wan are trying to get away, come across a scanner droid, and it goes off the alarm. So That distracts Reva, so she runs off, realizing, oh, Obi-Wan's getting away. Obi-Wan's here and he's getting the kid, they're getting away. So that gives Tala a chance to go fight the stormtroopers that can't fight. They ain't doing nothing. So she takes them down and gets the blaster and then runs off to go meet up with Obi-Wan and Leia. Leia and Obi-Wan are running through the hallway after they accidentally alerted the scanner droid. So they're trying to run, and stormtroopers are all coming down the hall like cockroaches. And so Obi-Wan is trying to, protect Leia and fight with bounce the blaster lasers that the stormtroopers are shooting out of their blasters. He's trying to deflect them with his lightsaber while trying to protect Leia. So they're trying to run. He's trying to ping pong, and poo, ping pong it back at them. So it works some, but it's kind of hard because he's trying to, dodge, deflect, and protect Leia. So they get to an area where it's further down the hallway where the windows are right next to where the water is. The windows are exposed to where the underwater part is of the fortress. So, and the stormtroopers are still coming. So as he's still, trying to use the force and ping pong the blast shots, they shoot, either they shot or he accidentally ping ponged it to a point where it shoots the window. To be this great fortress, it's a weak fortress because don't you think this little area where the water is exposed, they would have, I guess, waterproof windows or bulletproof windows that won't crack? But apparently the blasters cracked the window, or maybe the shutters weren't down in that area. Whatever. But anyways, the blaster shot ping pongs and hits the window and it starts cracking. So Obi-Wan's like, he's trying to hold the window together with the force and trying to tell, like, Leia, get down. Hi, get down. He's screaming at her, like, get down. As they're being shot at, and it's like, okay. They're in the middle, Leia and Obi-Wan, and they're being shot at. The stormtroopers are over here, and the stormtroopers are near the door right here, and there's another door over here. And Leia and Obi-Wan are in the middle. And mind you, in the middle where Leia and Obi-Wan are, the glass is starting to break. Well, one of the windows, right? And so Obi-Wan at the same time ping pongs a blast to shoot the door shut where the stormtroopers are, and it shuts, but they're still trying to come through. And while Obi-Wan is still trying to, along with the Force, trying to hold that window shut, and then also hold the door shut to keep the stormtroopers from coming and shooting at them, this is where Tala comes in the nick of time to grab Leia. But she's screaming at Obi-Wan, because remember, there's another door over here. So Tala comes from this door, and they can shut this door to keep some of the water part in. So he's struggling. I like the scene where it's very tense and nail biting because he's trying to hold the window shut. Will keep it from cracking even more. The cracking in the window, and Obi-Wan's trying to time it to where he can book it to where Tala and Leia is, because Leia ran over to Tala on the other side of the door to escape, but they're waiting for Obi-Wan to come, and she's like, come on, Tala's screaming, like, come on, Obi-Wan, come on, like, come on, and Obi-Wan's trying to time it right so he can let the window go, and so these stormtroopers can be in line of where that cracking window is. So he lets go, and that water is pouring through. And, first the stormtroopers come through, and then he lets the window go, and then he books it, runs, books it to where Tala and Leia is, and then they shut the door, and then in that little area, stormtroopers drown and meet their fate. So, Tala grabs a random officer jacket laying down on the ground, or she found it or took it or whatever, and puts it around Obi-Wan and Leia. So Leia is under his this long Imperial officer coat, and as they're trying to walk, and they're trying to walk together, Leia and Obi, to the front of the fortress, the front door, pretty much the landing bay, I guess, where all the ships come in, where the fortress is. So they're trying to get a ride and get out of there, but it's like so many stormtroopers, so many officers, as they're trying to hurry up and leave. Of course, by this point, Reva catches up to them. They get stopped. There are stormtroopers behind them. There are a bunch of officers and stormtroopers in front of them. So it's like, ooh, I'm thinking, oh, is Obi-Wan going to use the Force? Is he going to push them all back? Or is he and Reva going to go at it? What is going on? He can't really do that because Leia's there. Tala may bite the bullet because she ain't got no Force powers. And then all of a sudden you hear, you're like, what the? Oh, then you realize it's the Pathway people. They actually brought their speeder planes after all to go help out Obi-Wan. The 2 speeder planes that early on Obi-Wan was talking about. So they come anyways to help rescue Tala, Leia, and Obi-Wan. So they start shooting the front bay of the fortress, and everybody's, trying to scatter. And then one of the planes land. It's a woman flying in, one of the Pathway group people. She lands the plane, telling Tala, Obi-Wan, and Leia, come on, hurry up, get on, jump on, come on. And so they quickly book it, and Reva's mad. She's doing the bad guy thing. Ooh, get away from me. Leia, Obi-Wan, Tala, and one of the Pathway people, group members, fly away. But the other one, because remember there are 2 ships. The other dude, Pathway person, I don't remember the lady's name, but the guy's name was Wade, and he got shot down, and he was a casualty. Even though he came to help rescue, he got shot down and plummets down to the waters below. So, but the ship that had Obi-Wan and Leia and the lady pilot of the Pathway group, they're okay. So they fly to the other ship where Roken is on, the bigger Pathway Finder ship. So, the little ship flies onto that. So cut back to, before we get back to Obi-Wan and Leia, cut back to Vader is pissed off. He's choking out Reva. What he does famously. Oh, the reason why, conveniently, I forgot to mention this, conveniently why Darth Vader was not seen mostly in this episode was because he was elsewhere on his ship doing other terrorist stuff, okay? Being a badass somewhere else. Yeah, so I'm glad that he does not meet Leia in this, because it would have made no freaking sense. Yeah, anyways. So he's choking out Reva, and she's angry. So now, this is an interesting scene. Now, he gets mad at Reva saying, oh, well, you let Obi-Wan get away. I'm like how you let him get away in the previous episode. I'm like, I'm just getting the impression that Vader is doing this on purpose, because I'm like, how you gonna get mad with Reva for letting Obi-Wan get away, and you did the same thing in the previous episode? He's trying to pin the Inquisitors against each other. He's playing them like a fiddle. There's just something more to this than Vader just, I'm just let Obi-Wan go. There's something more to this. It has to be. Reva, as she's being choked out, says to Vader, like, she's struggling to tell him, like, I put a tracker on him. I put a tracker with Obi-Wan. So we can find them. We won't lose them. With that tracker, we can find the networking base. We can take them down. So, Vader says, oh, I underestimated you. The fifth brother starts, bucking up, flexing like, well, but my lord, Reva almost, caused the fortress to go under, because of the whole, just her not keeping track of Obi-Wan and Leia, them causing trouble. He blames it on Reva. And, it's just, he's pleased, but he's like, listen, don't mess up again. Here's the thing, I hope I said there's more to it, but let me say this, I just feel like Vader is going to kill the Inquisitors. He's just using them to do the hard work for him, and then once he gets to the network and Obi-Wan, that's it. Once he gets what he wants, you've done my job for me. Like, hey, work smarter, not harder. I think that's just Vader's vibe right now. So anyways, we cut back to Obi-Wan, Leia, and Tala. They're all sad that one of the pathway people crashed in his plane, so they're all somber and quiet in the back of the bigger ship that they flew on with the smaller speeder. And they're going back to the networking pathway base. And so there's a really cute scene with Leia and Obi-Wan. They don't really say anything. She just takes his hand and just, sort of squeezes it. And it's just without words. She's just saying, I'm glad you're safe. Leia is. And they're just comforting each other. It's so many layers to that, because Obi-Wan, without, again, saying something, he's like, at least I saved her. It's just that thing of, I couldn't save her father. It's crazy that he wanted so much to save her father, but he couldn't. Her father is his own worst enemy, because he's just so into the darkness. Anakin is so lost. He's just so evil at this point. He's so into the dark side. He can't see what he's doing wrong. So Obi-Wan feels guilty that he's fallen to the dark side, but at least he can save, ironically, he can save Vader's daughter. You know what I'm saying? It's the relief. Obi-Wan's relief is like, at least I saved somebody. I couldn't save her dad, but I saved her. And we noticed that Leia's little saucer droid called Lola, the eye of the droid that looks like a camera starts turning red. So that means Reva put the tracker in Lola. And then that's where Obi-Wan episode 4 cuts. There's nothing really to write home about with this episode. It had its moments. I liked it. Episode 3, the previous episode, was a mixed bag. A lot of people thought the lighting, the filming of that episode where they were fighting within the coal mine hills, Vader and Obi-Wan, people felt like that episode looked like a fan film. I thought it was fine. But, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I like this episode. There has to be more to it with Vader letting Obi-Wan go and then blaming it on Reva. I'm like, but you did that in the previous episode, so how are you going to blame her? There has to be, I hope that's not a plot hole. I hope there's more to it than what we're seeing, because I'm like, that makes no sense. Anyways, Reva's boring again in this episode. Vader conveniently was on his ship elsewhere. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll roll with that, because it doesn't make sense for him to meet Leia, because he never knew he had a daughter. It doesn't make any sense. What else? The nods to episode 4 and 1 with the underwater stuff and the sneaking around like they always do when they infiltrate the Empire's base, certain bases of the Empire. That's always fun when they gotta sneak around, because that's always nerve-wracking. Like, ooh, are they gonna get caught? What's gonna happen? Which stormtrooper's gonna bite it? I always think that's fun. I like that Obi-Wan is getting his footing. I like the fact that he has to earn being the hero again. It's not just like, because he's Obi-Wan, he's gonna be strong. No, you have to train. Yeah, you're force sensitive, but you have to train to heighten those senses. You know what I mean? You have to really train to get those powers up. And people have to understand, well, there's been a lot of complaints with the previous episode. Oh, Obi-Wan's so weak. Why are they fighting like that? I don't like the choreography. I'm like, it's not supposed to be good because, well, number one, this isn't the climax. Is this the fight that they were talking about? I'm like, obviously the big fight is gonna be in the last episode, guys. But it's getting to a point where, well, yeah, this whole series has been about saving Leia. Are we gonna see Luke at some point? Because we have 2 episodes left. This is a 6-part series. I think they need to continue this. There have been rumors that there may be a second season. Here's the thing. I think instead of calling it the second season of Obi-Wan, it should be Vader. Call the series Vader and then show his side of the story. Not the same stories or events, just further along, just showing how did Vader find out that he had a son? He didn't find out that he had a daughter. We've had some close calls in this episode, but he did find out about Luke. So how did Vader at some point find out that he had a son and it was Luke Scott? Well, his doggone last name. They never changed his last name. That is stupid. They never changed Luke's last name. I just realized that. Yeah, that is stupid. They didn't call Luke Lars. They called him Skywalker. Well, that's not hard to find out that you have a kid out there named Skywalker. Yeah, but I mean, just how did he confirm that he had a child out there and it was Luke? So I hope that they get back towards the last 2 episodes. Let's get back to Tatooine and see what's up. And hopefully, I think maybe they can continue this. It depends on how this series ends. If it ends kind of like without going back to Tatooine, I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, wait, this dude is supposed to spend another 10 years watching over Luke until Luke is like 20 years old. Like, Obi-Wan doesn't leave except for this point in time, this point in time in his life. So I'm just curious as to how this is all going to end. I think this is a must see. It's not a fancy episode. I'll put it like that. So don't be, waiting to look for the lightsaber fight. I think that's going to happen in the last episode. So what did you think? Did you like this latest episode of Obi-Wan Part 4? Just, hey, ring the bell, please. Like and subscribe. And thank you for watching the Pearlie Eye Review.